So let's get started. So good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining this session today. Um, right. So my name is Harsh Mahajan. I am a technical lead at Terracez, and I'm thrilled to be here with you. Today we are going to explore how you can elevate your sustainability stewardship with Microsoft Sustainability Manager. Along with me, we have Ahmed Ashur, the sustainability lead from Microsoft, who will be sharing his insights and expertise. So this is the second series from our webinar, and there are two more upcoming sessions are there where we'll be talking about cultural change and global initiatives. In today's session, we will more focusing on the sustainability manager as a platform and what are Microsoft offerings. Before we dive in, let me quickly walk you through the today's agenda. By Ahmed. At like how this application can help any organization report, reduce, and record their carbon footprint. We'll also look at another demo with from Microsoft Fabric, where sustainability. And at the end of the session, we will be having Ahmed to take it ahead. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you, Harsh, and thank you very much for Terracez for hosting me today on today's webcast. So just wanted to quickly give you some background. So my role is I lead our commercial offering for Microsoft Cloud for Sustainability for Middle East and Africa, based out of UAE. I've been with Microsoft for now 17 years in many different roles. Going into the sustainability, I think Microsoft has been very keen on the sustainability agenda since long time ago. As you can see in front of you, we have a decade or almost over a decade now of experiences when it comes to our own sustainability and how can we make ourselves as an organization a sustainable organization. Now, we're all clear on the importance of climate change and how can we all play a role in the climate change currently. We're all witnessing now all the devastating effects of the increased emissions of carbon on the planet. So it's really very clear now that everyone, every government, and every organization on the planet has a very critical role to play in the reduction of the emissions of our planet. Now, from a Microsoft point of view, we started this journey very early on. We started with the slow steps. But then we quickly gained confidence, and the main highlight really is by 2020, we committed that by 2030, we'd be a carbon negative, a zero waste, as well as a water positive company. On top of that, we even recommitted also that we would remove as much carbon emission from the planet, as much as we've emitted since the inception of our organization. So throughout all of these years of learning, we've actually discovered also that there is a lot of challenges to these commitments. And it's not an easy thing for all organizations on the planet to actually do these commitments. While Microsoft is a global player, there's the rule of carbon emission and carbon reduction is something that every organization needs to do. And we discovered that it's not an easy task, and it requires a lot of challenges, and there's a lot of gaps in the market. And based on that, we embarked on a strategy that we should also help our customers on their own journey into their own sustainability. But before I move into what we're doing and what we're offering to help our customers, I'll also take a step back here, and if we move to the next slide, just to talk about that the environmental part, and when we say environment, which is the E of the ESG, environment, social, and governance. The environmental aspect, if you can move to the next slide, please, Harsh. The environmental aspect, it includes carbon, water, as well as waste and biodiversity. So, and it's a very difficult area because it requires a lot of calculations, a lot of data ingestion, and bringing data from so many elements. Sorry, Harsh, just one slide back. Huh? This is the third one. So another concept that is very critical today in the market is, while we're saying that yes, every organization needs to focus on the environmental aspect, we're seeing also a big focus on what we call the ESG, the environmental, social, and governance. And that's a new way or a new concept of really measuring a performance of any company or organization. Classically, we would look at any company and we would say if it's a profitable company, if their balance sheet is positive, if they're making profit, then this is a healthy company. But that's not the way that this is being done anymore, specifically from investors, because they've realized that as a company, you might be doing revenue on the short term, but if you're exploiting the planet, if you're using raw materials that will not be there in the future, if you're using illegal workforce, if you're not good to the community that your company is within, if you're not hiring the right kind of talent and people and having the right decisions within your board, all of these are also indicators of a company that is not going to be fruitful in the future. So many investors, many banking sector, many financing, and all of that are really focusing on how an organization ESG looks like. So when you think of environment, it's not just about being good to the environment, but it's also being good to you as a company. I mean, for a company to have good brand and good market attraction and customer attraction and even employee retention, and having a competitive advantage in the market, it's now becoming imperative that you would have to have your ESG data in place and be able to produce this kind of data. And as you can see here, I mean, customers, we really see customers go from a very wide spectrum, from the very basic of, I just need to adhere to my compliance. So there's a reporting standard, there's regulatory standards that I need to adhere to. So I need to really produce my ESG data because I want to be compliant with the standard. But then all the way that I want to attract investors, I want to have my brand name be better competitive advantage, all the way that I want to leverage ESG actually as a tool to base my strategy and base my decision making in the future. And that's the very innovative companies that we're seeing now. So ESG is becoming very critical, and that's why we believe that regardless of your focus on the environment and the climate change and all of that, ESG is really going to be a very critical aspect that all organizations need to report on. And the only main challenge that we really see that most organizations face, and that's the challenge that we're really embarking to help with, is the data challenge. To be able to report on this, it means a magnificent amount of data that's coming from so many disparate systems within your organization. And there's no one system really that does provide all this data in one place. And from that, we embarked on delivering our portfolio. So we move to the next slide, which what we call is the Microsoft Cloud for Sustainability. And that's a suite of products that tackles a number of areas. But the ultimate aim really is to deliver to any organization the power of delivering a full ESG platform. That means that you would have the ability to calculate your carbon footprint, your water, your waste, biodiversity, as well as your social and governance. The pretty much focus component here is, if you see in that yellow box on the top in the middle, which is the Microsoft Sustainability Manager, this focuses on the environmental aspect. So Microsoft Sustainability Manager is a component that really focuses on ingesting all your activity data. So all the electricity being used, all the miles being driven, all the business travel, all activity happening by the organization, and transform this into carbon emissions equivalent, leveraging, of course, the global standards. It's developed based on the GHG protocol, but then it also leverages the water and waste data. So with the Microsoft Sustainability Manager, it pretty much gives you the full E, which is the environmental aspect of the ESG. And then on top of that, we are recently developed, and it's still in preview, what we call the Project ESG Lake. Currently, the name is, it's based on Microsoft Fabric. The name is Sustainability Data Services on top of Fabric. But regardless of the name, it's pretty much a data lake for your ESG, environment, social, and governance, regardless where it comes from your environment. So this is a tool that will enable you to connect to your existing systems, capture all this data if it's existing. If it's not, then it will allow you to even enter this data to be able to have one dashboard for you to report on your ESG. Now, something that we're working very closely also is to help also organizations report against different standards. If you see also the box on top in green, which is the Microsoft Review Compliance Manager, which will help customers report on different standards. So one of the leading standards today or regulatory is the CSRD in the European Union, which adds a large pressure on almost 50,000 companies within the European Union, as well as their supply chain. So out of the box, the moment you have Sustainability Manager, you build your emissions, leveraging the Microsoft Review Compliance with the CSRD template, you will be able to report against that and see where do you stand today as a baseline and which areas you need to improve on. So in a summary, what we're really trying to unlock here is to help you with our power of data and AI to gather all the related information that you need to be able to present your ESG information. But then the moment you combine this in one data lake, we really unlock another chapter of really innovation, which is how can you leverage artificial intelligence on top of this data to help you really understand where should you focus to reduce your emissions, where are anomalies, where should I really focus on having initiatives to be able to really have the most positive impact on my carbon emissions. So that's a very high level view of where we stand today from our sustainability view, but also what we're offering for our customers together with our partners today. Thank you.
Thank you, Amit, for giving us the brief insight. Okay, so now next point would be like we will be dipping, we'll be having a deep dive into the Sustainability Manager platform application, and we'll see how it can help organization to record, report, and reduce their carbon footprint. All right, so the dashboard which you're looking at right now is the Sustainability Manager application. This application is based. So Sustainability Manager is an management for organization at any stage of their sustainability journey. It basically automates manual processes, enabling organization to more efficiently record, report, and reduce their emission. Along with emission, it also integrated with any business systems. So it is not just a platform to feed the data and see the report. It offers us a ready-to-use calculation models which are based on greenhouse gas protocol, which helps in making the report compliant to sustainability. I would first like to share their goals with respect to sustainability. As you can see on my screen right now, I'm just showing you the analytics of emission insights. So if you see, this is a very detailed report wherein and subdivisions and any in detailed fashion, like in you can see the scope one emission in detail, wherein you can see the amount of emission done and which all activities are uh, contributing to the amount of emission which has occurred. So based on the current trend of data which of the emission. Similarly, we have the detailed report for water insights. So if an organization is involved in activities which are related to water, especially water used, consumed, the amount of it gives us a very
So
detailed
Harish,
information.
your voice is cutting, and I think it's a bit difficult for audience to follow. So if you want, you can just continue, and I'll add the description to while you're moving around the tool.
Is it better now?
You're fine now. Okay, continue, and if it breaks again, then I'll let you know.
Yes, I was talking about with respect to water insights. So as you can see, an organization can track the amount of water withdrawn and what are the source type of withdrawing the water sources, and we can check like what kind of insight an organization.
Yeah,
And we
it
also
is
want.
breaking. It is breaking. We're still losing you.
You're still losing me?
Yeah.
Okay. Is it better now?
Yes, but I mean, we keep losing you after a while. So if you just continue with the demo, I'll do the voiceover if you want, just to keep it with the audience.
Sounds good. No problem.
So I think, yeah, what
So
Harish is showing now is pretty much the result of after you've implemented the tool and you've connected to all your data sources, you will be able to see the overall emissions, of course, across different years, across different departments. You'll be able to really divide and dissect your data and view it in different elements. He showed pretty much the high-level executive dashboard. So this is your overall environmental dashboard that would be used by pretty much your executives, your leadership, your board. And that's the output after all the sustainability team has managed to implement and ingest all the data within the tool. As you can see, the main elements is really the big thing, which is the emissions, that blue square there, which gives you the overall emissions for your organization. Your revenue intensity, which is a correlation between how much revenue the organization is doing compared to your emissions, because that's a very critical thing. As an organization grows, the emissions increases. But you want to know that you're actually relatively to your revenue, your emissions are actually increasing. So just measuring the emissions without looking at revenue, it might be a false positive. So that's the revenue intensity. And then, of course, the percentage of renewable energy that you are using. And then on the other side there on the right, you can see that you can filter this overall emissions by region, organization, and facility as well.
yeah. Right.
Now, when you go under this executive dashboard, of course, you can drill down the data within emissions. So this way, I'm focusing now on the CO2 from an emission point of view specifically. And then that would mean that if I go to emissions insight, I can go and drill down onto different scopes. So scope 1, 2, and 3, as we all know, based on the GHG protocol. Carbon is being calculated based on 3 main scopes. Scope 1, which is your direct emissions of your actual usage, any machinery, any equipment within your organization. Scope 2, which is your utility bills, so electricity, heating, anything that you're using from your utilities. And then scope 3, which is pretty much all your upstream and downstream. So everything that is being used in the manufacturing production of your goods and services, and everything that is used into delivering these goods and services. So as you can see here, this is the total emissions, and then you have it divided by scope 1, 2, and 3. And then you can see even if you go look down there by source and scope, you can see that scope 1 is being divided into fugitive emissions, mobile combustion, stationary combustion. So you can really drill down and see exactly which type of scope 1 emissions is actually the biggest contributor. You can view this across the whole number of years that you're building this report. Now, the good thing is the moment you implement the tool, you would start getting data from that date. But if you have any historical data, you will be able to import that so that you have baselines across your previous years. And of course, you can go through by month, by source, and so forth. Now, pretty much like this one, as you can see here, this is focused on the emissions. I think, I don't know if you can click on the deep analysis, Aish. This is when you can start leveraging more analytical tools to dissect the data. So, for example, this is the maximum emissions that I have. So I want to know which country or which region this is coming from, or which scope. So now I can see it by region. Now I want to add, okay, so which scope is the highest contributor? And then when I add the scope, I can add even, for example, which activity is actually doing that scope. So that's a way that I can actually filter within the data and be able to figure out certain patterns and certain areas that I need to focus on. As you can see here, scope 1 is the highest for me. I can open scope 1 and say I want to have, for example, activity type. Then I can see which activity is contributing to scope 1 high usage, and so on. An interesting one also up there is the forecasting, which gives you an idea based on your historical trend. You can understand what are you trending in terms of your emissions, so you'll be able to see where are you heading towards with the emissions that you have historically. So it would give you an idea on where would you be moving forward. Now, this is focused on carbon. When it comes to water and waste, it's pretty much the same, but it's focused on actually the water quality going into your organization and leaving the organization as same as into waste. Now, so this is the end result really after you've implemented. Now, it's important to mention that this is a cloud service. So this platform in front of you, you can have it up and running for your organization in a couple of hours. The really hard work comes into plugging in the data. So once you have this system up and running in a couple of hours, it wouldn't really come with any data inside. The hard work really is when you're trying to integrate this with your data points. So if we move to the data section, Aish.
Yeah, so I have already opened this one here.
Very good. Yeah. So the data is really the most difficult part, and it's difficult for many elements of or many reasons. Of course, you have to have the data, and if you don't have the data, then you will need to find ways to be able to get access to that data. But then some other challenges is you might have the data, but the data is in different types of systems, and you will need to connect to these multiple systems. So one of the important things that you would see that Microsoft Sustainability Manager has is it has a massive array of connectors out of the box. And you can see that it's not just supporting Microsoft, but it's Microsoft, Amazon, Google, SAP, Oracle. We understand that your data will be in so many different systems, and we give you the ability to connect to all these systems and be able to ingest this data and standardize this data in one place, regardless of where this data came from, so that you're able to view this data across all these systems. Now, we support all the way from very basic of Excel file, where you can even download a template from Microsoft Sustainability Manager and be able to fill this template on your own and then ingest it, all the way to integrating into an existing database where you can immediately have this data running and moving towards your report. So that's the data section, which is a very critical element, and that's the most important part really that any organization would do to be able to fulfill the data. Now, what we've seen that most organizations, of course, it's not an easy thing to have all your carbon scopes covered from day one. That's a massive job. So usually what people do is they start with certain categories of scope 1 and 2. That's the easiest areas. For example, you want to ingest your electricity usage, you want to ingest any business travel that is happening within your organization. So you start with the data that you have access to, and then you can start having certain degree of data output, and then you move on to adding additional ones.
Yeah. Is my voice audible now?
Yes, audible I can hear you now. Yeah. Your voice is very audible. It just all of a sudden it disappears for 30 seconds and it comes back.
Okay, understood. Yeah, thank you. Yep. So this was about the data ingestion, which is one of the critical challenges for the data engineer working in the sustainability field faces. So this basically helps us in eliminating the data silos and manage data accuracy as well. So and as Ahmed mentioned that it also has predefined data templates which are readily available. So one can just download it and fill in and update. So this can be like the first step to start using this application. So we looked at it, like we looked at the reporting part of it, and we saw how we can ingest the data. The next thing is that organization also wants to track their goal, whether whatever efforts they are making, whether it is leading to their goal. So in this application, we have got one more feature called scorecards and goals. So here organization can set up their own goals and they can track it against the data which is getting fed into this application, and they can see like whether are they with this they can keep a track of whether they are in line with their goals or not. And one of the key value from this application, which I would like to highlight, is that this application has got inbuilt calculation models and factor libraries. So with the data, after feeding in the data, the important thing is to we need to perform the calculations, and calculations are supposed to be accurate. So this application takes care of following the greenhouse gas protocols and doing the calculations as per the compliances so that we can get accurate reports. So this application talks about most of the E part from the ESG. It basically takes care of carbon tracking the carbon footprint and adjusting the emission data. With respect to handling the social and governance aspect, with respect to sustainability journey, Microsoft has got another platform. They call it as Fabric, and there is a ESG data solutions provided by Microsoft, which can one organization can leverage and track their ESG matrices. As you can see here, there are three types of ESG solutions provided by Microsoft. For one is ESG data estate for having a holistic view of their ESG report, the CSRD reports. If you want to have a detailed report with respect to environmental metrics and social and governance, that it also provides separate solutions for them. This is the quick overview of how the CSRD ESG in detail. So we can see the climate change, water and marine resources, the social aspect, all this can be drilled down in detail here. So and the Fabric as a platform gives us a lot of organization's requirement.
We lost you again, Harsh. Should we move
Yeah.
into Q&A?
Yep.
Yeah. So there was a number of questions on the chat I've already responded to. And I think if anyone wants to unmute or even type in questions, please go ahead.
Okay, so I'll just see a couple of files while getting it. So there's one question from Joyce. What tools are used to capture the data in terms of E and S? So the Sustainability Manager solution, which I demonstrated some time back, takes care of the E aspect on the ESG. And
Yes, Joyce, I've actually added a comment with the answer. So yeah, unfortunately, I responded to all the questions, but through the comment feature. So if you just click on the comments to your question, you should see the answer.
yeah. All right. I'm pasting a to kindly fill this.
And I think, Harish, would you be able to share the slides with the attendees?
Sure.
Perfect.
Just putting this on the chat.
Okay. Yeah, for anyone else, feel free, unmute, please share your feedback, comments, or questions. Or of course, use the Q&A feature. Okay, Harish, anything else on the agenda before we wrap up?
No.
Okay, thank you, everyone. Thanks for the great questions. Hopefully this was beneficial for you. And looking forward to future ones. Thank you very much. Thank you, Harish.
Thank you all for joining. Thank you all.
Thank you. Take care.
Good day.